The federal government of Nigeria has recently made a bold move by seeking the death penalty for Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, following his conviction on terrorism charges. This decision came shortly after Kanu was found guilty on all 7 counts of terrorism that were levied against him. His conviction marks a significant turn in his long-running legal battle and has sparked heated debates across the country and beyond. The government's lead counsel, Adegboyega Awomolo, made the application in court, arguing that the severity of Kanu's crimes and the destruction they caused warrant the maximum punishment. Kanu, as the prosecution argues, has incited violence in the country which led to the deaths of numerous security operatives and the destruction of public infrastructure. The prosecution insists that Kanu's actions have not only caused harm, but also destabilized the nation, particularly in the southeast, where IPOB and the Eastern Security Network, ESN, the armed wing of the group, have carried out numerous attacks. In fact, Awomolo emphasized that the prosecution believes that Kanu's incitement directly led to the violence which has left a trail of bloodshed and destruction. He argued that Kanu's failure to show remorse or penitence for the damage he caused should be taken into account when deciding on his sentence. His demeanor during court proceedings, marked by what many perceived as arrogance, was pointed out as evidence of his lack of remorse. For the government, this lack of repentance further justifies their call for the death penalty. The case, which has already attracted international attention, raises a very important question. How far should the law go in punishing acts of terrorism, especially when they are linked to political causes? Now, this is a complicated matter. On the one hand, many view Nnamdi Kanu as a hero, a man fighting for the rights and self-determination of the Igbo people. His supporters argue that his actions, though violent, were a response to systemic oppression and disenfranchisement. They see his cause for Biafra as a legitimate political movement, not as terrorism. These are passionate views held by many in the southeast of Nigeria, who see Kanu as a voice for their struggles. On the other hand, the federal government sees Kanu's actions through a very different lens. They argue that terrorism, no matter the cause, cannot be tolerated because it endangers the lives of innocent citizens. The prosecution has pointed out that many lives have been lost and public property destroyed, all in the name of a cause that, according to the government, has no place in a democratic society. Now, let's break it down further. The prosecution is not only seeking the death penalty for Kanu, but they are also asking the court to order the forfeiture of his broadcast equipment. They want to ensure that Kanu or anyone under his influence does not continue to spread his message to the masses. The government is making it clear that they want to restrict Kanu from having access to digital devices or the internet while he serves his sentence. This is a strategic move to prevent any further incitement, and it ties into a broader concern that social media and digital platforms have been used to spread extremist views, something the government is clearly keen on controlling. As the court stands adjourned until later today for sentencing, the matter has become even more urgent. Many people across Nigeria, particularly those in the southeast, are anxiously waiting to hear what the judge's final decision will be. But as we wait, let's talk about the implications of this case, not just for Kanu, but for Nigeria as a whole. What does this mean for political activism in the country? If the government is successful in seeking the death penalty, what does that signal about how the state will handle dissent in the future? Could this case set a dangerous precedent for how political opposition is dealt with in the country? Let's also take a moment to consider Kanu's supporters, who have been vocal about their desire for his release. They believe that Kanu's fight is justified and that the charges against him are politically motivated. For them, this trial is more than just a legal case. It's about the struggle for self-determination. These are people who feel oppressed by the central government, and they see Kanu's actions as a fight for justice. So, what happens to these people if Kanu is sentenced to death? Will it crush their morale, or will it fuel their cause even more? Will it embolden them to keep pushing for Biafra? This is something we have to watch carefully. Now, this case isn't just about the legal battle. It's also about the politics of Nigeria. And it's impossible to talk about this situation without addressing the broader question of national unity. Nigeria, as we know, is a diverse country with many ethnic groups and religions. The country's unity has always been a topic of debate, and issues like this one only highlight the divisions that exist within the nation. Kanu's actions and the government's response to them are indicative of the deep-seated tensions that continue to simmer in the country, especially in the southeast. On the other hand, the federal government's push for the death penalty also speaks volumes about the state's stance on national security and unity. For the government, Kanu's actions are not just a threat to peace, but to the very fabric of Nigeria as a united nation. And so, the government has decided that the only way to send a strong message is by seeking the death penalty. It's a decision that has sent shockwaves throughout the country. And it's one that is sure to shape the political and legal landscape of Nigeria for years to come. So, as the court continues to deliberate on the sentencing, we find ourselves at a crossroads. How will the people of Nigeria react to the outcome? Will Kanu's conviction and the call for the death penalty divide the country even further? Or will it bring people together? Will it force a serious reevaluation of Nigeria's approach to political dissent and activism? As we wait for the final verdict, let's also remember the plea made by Obinna Agwocha, a member of the House of Representatives who called for the court to temper justice with mercy. This plea for mercy brings yet another layer of complexity to this case. If the court does decide to impose the death penalty, what message does that send to future generations of Nigerians? Will it teach them that there is no room for political opposition? Or will it show that the government will go to any length to ensure national security? In conclusion, while the case of Nnamdi Kanu is primarily about the legal issues surrounding his conviction, it is also about the bigger questions facing Nigeria today. It's about national unity, the role of dissent, and the future of political activism in the country. The decision the court makes will send ripples through the entire nation, and it will be watched closely not just by Nigerians, but by the international community as well. What do you think? Should Kanu be held accountable for the violence associated with his movement? Is the death penalty a fair punishment, or is it too harsh? Is there room for mercy, or should the full weight of the law be applied? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, this is just the beginning. We will be keeping you updated as the case continues to unfold. So, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more real-time updates. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next video.